Alright, so this is an experiment you can actually do at home if you have some coffee filters and markers. This is something called paper chromatography. So chromatography is just a separation of mixtures. I spelled separation wrong, but that's alright, you'll survive. Alright, separation of mixtures. So what we have here is we got these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 ink dots. So those are 5 little samples there. So those inks, kind of like your markers. Just think of the dry erase markers or your Crayola markers. All right, the different colors, those are made by different pigments, different chemical pigments, and they're mixed together to make your different colors. Okay, we're going to try to separate them here. So we do is we do this nice. We add this nice little layer of water right there at the bottom, just where it barely touches this paper. All right. So the paper here could be filter paper, coffee filter, Kleenex tissues if you're in a pinch, something like that, where it can easily soak up the water. Okay. Now, based off of capillary action, when you put this piece of paper in the water is going to rise up. So eventually it's going to rise all the way up to the top. Okay. Now, as it goes up, what happens is it rises like this. All right, once it hits those colors, it's actually going to start to pull the colors up with them. So you're going to see red start to go up. All right, you're going to see green start to move up, purple going up. All right, so you're going to see how these colors start to go up there. All right. Now, as the water level gets to the top here, all these layers are going to go up a certain amount of height, but it depends on the substance. Okay, so let's say this purple goes pretty much all the way up with the water. So when the water hits the top, purple goes pretty much all the way up with it. Something like green doesn't really go that far. We'll say blue goes about halfway. And red about this far. And black, that barely moves. Now the black just like goes there. Alright. So what made the purple go up so high, but something like the green and the black not move at all? Alright. If you think about solutions and intermolecular forces, remember we said before, like dissolves like. Alright. So water is a polar substance, is a polar solute. Alright, so if water is polar, what's it tell you about this chemical right here, this little ink, the chemicals in ink there? Okay. That is polar also. Alright, so the polar of the ink stain matches the polarity of the water, and that's why it pulls all the way up there. Okay. And then these ones like this black spot and this green spot, those are nonpolar. So you can tell how high a substance or an ink stain or whatever will go up a chromatography strip based on its similarity polar versus nonpolar with the solvent. Okay? And then like red and blue, those are just varying levels of polarity. Blue is fairly polar, red's kind of in between. Okay? So let's say if we have, let's start this over again here. Let's say in here we're going to add, let's go. We're going to add some benzene. Okay. So before, benzene is nonpolar. All right. If the dots were exactly the same as the ones up here, all right, let's look at that again. All right. So what's going to happen to the purple one? Before it went all the way to the top. So if benzene goes all the way up here, before it went all the way to the top, yeah, well, the purple is going to be barely move at all. All right. What about the green? All right. Yeah, here green and water, green didn't go up so high. Green probably go up pretty high. Yeah, about that far. Right? And now what about black? Black didn't move at all before, right? So black didn't even budge there. Yeah, so that means think of black was very, very non-polar. Well, benzene's also non-polar. So yeah, so the black dot's going to go all the way up to the top there. All right, so those are non-polar, and yeah, this is also non-polar. Okay, so that's how chromatography works. That's how separation works. Now, if you have substances with a mixture of colors, all right, so let's say this green dot here, all right, you might see as it starts to rise up, you can try to use some of these markers at home. Now rise up, and all of a sudden you'll see like a red color start to form. All right, so that means something like this. That's a mixture of colors. All right, and some of these markers or some of these other inks or some of these other dyes, yeah, they're a combination of colors, and that's a way to see what type of colors are in there. Yeah, by doing this chromatography, you'll see how they'll split apart based on their polarity or non-polarity. And that's how chromatography works.